Sports are not just a physical challenge. They take emotional and psychological training as well.
Athletes today are struggling more than ever with depression, anxiety, judgment.
These students grow up playing from the time they're 8, 9, and 10 years old. They may play their sport all year round, and that wears on them mentally and physically.
We train obviously and try and get the physical pieces with the X's and the O's out on the field, but with any athlete there's certainly a mental component to high performance as well.
Sports are so emotional. Yet, time and time again, I was taught, as were many other individuals, suck it up.
My biggest problems, nervousness, anxiety, restlessness, not getting too good sleep, and I didn't really know what it was, I thought it was normal, I didn't talk to anybody about it, it was just, I just got to deal with this.
I think that you can be the most talented athlete, the most skillful, you can be the fittest, but all athletes are going to struggle with anxiety and being confident and so many mental aspects.
Largely in the sports world, we've been often sending messages to young people, even in Little League sports, that are really counterintuitive to good emotional health and well-being. Mind of the Athlete is a sports psychology company committed to improving the emotional health of athletes.
Jarrod comes in twice a year with all of our student athletes, and they each have team sessions with him, so they'll meet for an hour each semester on a different topic that we work with Jarrod with, depending on maybe what's going on our campus at that time, or what we think is timely information for them to receive, or just something that he may think is important for our athletes to receive.
That's what I'm about, helping the emotional health of the athletes so that they can feel better and then use their God-given talents that they have in athletics to really excel.
Sports psychology actually has had a really profound impact for our team.
We don't believe that they're just here to win games or play in games and compete. That's part of our mission, but a lot of those lessons are life lessons that you can apply in your personal life or in your family life or in your career in the future.
A lot of times it's putting out the fires. Maybe you lost that game this past week. How do we rebound from that? Our star player just got injured. What do we do about that?
It was so popular with our athletes that we brought it to our entire staff.
The central message of Mind of the Athlete is simply this: clear mind, better performance. The clearer a person's preconscious mind is, the better performance they're going to have.
I just finished my career in football, and it turned out my senior year was probably my best year. I attribute a lot of that to what I learned at Mind of the Athlete, how to relax, how to control my emotions, how to keep everything in check.
We were playing against Colgate and it was in overtime, and it was a very emotional game because if we won, we were going to go to the championship game. I think that if we hadn't gone through so much sports psychology sessions, I don't know if I would have been able to keep going and go all the way.
Coming to a sports psychologist and working on this stuff can have a tremendous positive impact, and when they experience that and they have athletic success, emotionally feel better, and they emotionally get unstuck, that's the best part of what I do.
Joining us in the studio is Dr. Jarrod Spencer, a sports psychologist who is passionate about the emotional health of athletes. Thanks for being here, Doctor.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming in today. This seems like something that has come into the news a little bit more often lately. Why is sports psychology on the forefront of so many people's minds?
In the world of sports, people are looking for a competitive advantage everywhere they can get. We don't need to look far in the sports world to see another athlete stumble, have a fall from grace from looking down the wrong roads. So people are looking more in healthier directions, such as sports psychology. We know that the neuroscience of the mind, of the brain, is really developing very fast right now. And athletes are looking for a positive, proactive way to get a competitive advantage. This is one of those paths.
Dr. Spencer, is this just for professional athletes, or can anybody, take advantage of this new techniques?
What I generally say is under the age of 14, sports psychology is probably not applicable unless it's an elite level athlete such as a gymnast, which start a little bit earlier on. So traditionally, we focus mostly on high school and college population as well. We know that our high school market is becoming very, very intense. We see high school sports on ESPN and all over national news, and we know that the pressure cooker for these young people is getting greater and greater and greater, yet underneath the helmet, it's still a 15-year-old boy becoming a man. And so that's a big area of growing sports psychology.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question, because I think that it seems like maybe this is something that's a fairly modern phenomenon. I mean, people have been playing sports for a long time. Have you seen the need, or has there been a growth in the need for emotional and psychological support of athletes just because of the times and the way things have changed?
Absolutely. It's a growing need. In fact, we are underserved. We need more sports psychologists. We need more psychologists and counselors and therapists out there. And the reason is because the research shows that today's young people, our high school and college students, are struggling more now than ever before with depression and anxiety and anger and addictions. And so there's such a huge emotional need there. We need more people to serve. Since we know that sports are very emotional, and we know that our athletes tend to be leaders within our schools, it's so important to equip them with the psychological skills and ability to handle the pressure cooker so that they can thrive and also be better leaders.
Sort of all intertwined, really.
Absolutely.
If you're the parent of a budding young athlete, what do you really need to know? What do you need to know about your son or daughter to keep an eye to make sure that everything is on the right path?
Sure. One of the common things that I see that parents struggle with is that too often they're talking to their athlete strictly about performance-based issues, academics and athletics. I'll even ask an athlete, what percentage of the time do you speak to your mom and dad only about this? Too often it's 90, 95% of the time. There's a real danger there. I encourage parents to talk to their athletes about other things, and in particular, develop a hobby. Maybe they like to go fishing together, or maybe they like to go to church together. Whatever it may be, go and do those other activities together, and you're more likely to have the kid open up and talk about other things, which is going to lead them to a conversation about the emotional health and what's really going on with their son or daughter.
How much of a challenge is that, though? I mean, often you hear about the parents screaming from the sidelines and getting overly involved, perhaps, and I don't know if that's maybe a negative influence on the children. I mean, are the parents often the source and where you need to go? Are they a part of your process?
Actually, that's a sad reality, but the answer too often is yes. That too often the parent wants it more than the kid, and that part of the psychological challenges that the athlete's really going through is that the emotional reaction of the parents and how they're treating the son or daughter is actually contingent upon the performance. So therein lies a tremendous recipe for disaster when the kid's driving home with the parent, they're not talking to them. And so in those situations, we've got to do even more to reach the parents, reach the coaches, give them knowledge, education, skills, and ability so that they can help the kids. Most parents I interact with, their intentions are good. Their heart's in the right place. It's just that the emotions of sports are overriding all of that.
And it ends up putting a lot of pressure on an already pressure-filled situation.
Exactly.
Well, there's so much that you could tell us, and we appreciate you taking the time. For more information about Mind of the Athlete or anything from today's show, please go to thepeaktv.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Spencer.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Spencer. Thank you for joining us, and remember, every day is your chance to become your best self.
This is The Peak.